The alien battlefield was littered with charred metal and ash, the sky streaked in blood-red smoke. Corporal Lance Rowen stumbled through the wreckage, the sting of plasma burns on his arms and the weight of exhaustion pressing on every step. And then he saw her. A woman, or something like one, half buried under a collapsed cruiser hull. Her legs twisted unnaturally, a thick stream of violet blood soaking into the cracked earth. She blinked slowly, white eyes glowing against dark indigo skin. Despite the clear pain in her body, her face wore a familiar expression. Contempt. Azel'liara, Lance whispered. The enemy commander. A legend among her people. A terror to his. He should have walked away. Called it in. Let her die. But he didn't. Instead, he dropped his rifle and knelt beside her. You're not going to die here. Her lips curled weakly. You should hope I do, human. I'm not leaving you. He slid his arms beneath her, careful of her injuries. Her body was featherlight despite the armor, almost fragile. And though her glare could still melt steel, she didn't stop him. Lance carried her across ravaged plains, through scorched trees and collapsed trenches, back to the ruined transport that had once held prisoners of war. The onboard AI still had power, and with it basic medical care. He strapped her to the table, wincing at her every hiss and growl. I'm not doing this for your thanks, he muttered. I'm doing this because no one, no matter what side they're on, deserves to die in the dirt alone. Is that what you think? She rasped. That we're the same? No, he said. But you still bleed. Days passed. He fed her, cleaned her wounds, recalibrated the neural mesh around her spine. It turned out she couldn't walk because of spinal shrapnel, lodged deep. It would take weeks to heal, even with Regan gel. But the fire in her never dulled. You're a fool, she hissed one night. I killed hundreds of your kind. I know, he said quietly. But you're still just one person now. Broken. Same as me. She went silent then. Her name was Azel'liara Jurek of the Seraph Dominion, born from war, bred for command. Her people were taught to hate humans, to see them as invaders, not equals. But Lance was nothing like the human monsters she'd seen in propaganda. He listened. He helped her with things she wouldn't dare let anyone else see, brushing out her long hair when her fingers trembled too much, talking to her softly when nightmares racked her. He never touched her without permission. He never looked at her like a prize. And damn her, part of her began to hope. One night during a storm, the shelter's generator failed. Total darkness. Azel'liara jolted awake in panic, hearing her own breath, the suffocating silence. Then she felt his hand on hers. I'm here, Lance whispered. I've got you. She let out a breath. I hate this, she murmured. Depending on you. You can hate it. Just don't die on me. Why do you care? I don't know, he admitted. Maybe because you're not just the enemy anymore. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, Nor are you. They kissed on the 8th night. It was soft, hesitant, just a brush of lips while he was helping her sit up, and she reached out, fingers curling into his jacket. He didn't pull away. He didn't push for more. She hated how much it meant. But she let it happen. 2 weeks passed before the Dominion came. Their warship descended like a blade through heaven, lighting up the sky with its approach. Lance watched the blinking lights from a hilltop, holding his breath. He didn't know if he should be afraid or relieved. He turned to Azel'liara, who sat in the chair he had crafted from salvaged parts. She had begun to stand again, slowly, her balance unsteady but improving. They're here for you. She nodded. I sent the beacon yesterday. Lance stiffened. You what? I had to. I'm their commander. Her voice was cold again, distant. But he stopped. You could have told me. She looked away. I wasn't sure you'd understand. He didn't know what hurt more, her betrayal or the way she refused to meet his eyes. The landing party arrived in full armor. Azel'liara stood before them, regal despite her half-recovered injuries. Lance stood behind her, watching, uncertain. One of the soldiers stepped forward. Commander, we received your orders. The human, what shall be done with him? Azel'liara's voice rang clear, unshaken. Execute him. Lance froze. His heart stopped. What? Her eyes didn't flicker. He is an enemy combatant who witnessed classified medical data and military intelligence. His survival is a risk. No, Azel. She didn't flinch. That is all. The guards grabbed Lance. He didn't fight. He just stared at her, eyes wide, betrayed. You said I wasn't the enemy anymore. Her lips trembled. But only for a moment. Then she turned away. They dragged him to the ship's brig. He waited in silence, broken. He didn't cry. He didn't scream. But his hands shook, and something in his chest ached worse than any wound he'd suffered in the war. He saved her. He carried her. And she ordered his death. But she didn't sleep that night. Azel'liara sat alone in her quarters, staring at the comm screen. Her legs were nearly functional now. She could have left without him. She could have pretended it meant nothing. But it had meant everything. She remembered the way he brushed her hair. The way he never pitied her. The way he looked at her like she was still strong, even when she was broken. And she remembered the look in his eyes when she betrayed him. Her hand trembled as she opened the terminal. Override Order 719. Commute human sentence. Reassigned to diplomatic custody. There was a pause. Reason. The AI prompted. He typed slowly. He carried me when I couldn't walk. I will not let him die for it. The door to Lance's cell opened hours later. He looked up, expecting guards with rifles. Instead, it was her. She stepped in without her armor, without weapons. It was her. He stood slowly. What now? Another trick. No, she whispered. A choice. He said nothing. I made a mistake, she said. I thought being strong meant being cold. I thought surviving meant cutting you out. I was wrong. He stared at her, raw and unreadable. You ordered my death. I know. Do you even regret it? She nodded. Every second. Silence. Then she stepped closer, reaching for his hand. I don't expect you to forgive me. But I came to walk beside you this time. If you'll let me. He stared at her hand. And took it. 6 months later. The war ended in a whisper. Azel'liara stood beside Lance at the first diplomatic summit, no longer as a commander, but as a mediator between species. Her legs fully healed. Her scars worn proudly. And he hadn't left. They walk side by side now. Not as enemies. Not even just allies. But as something deeper. Stronger. Forged in betrayal, pain, and the impossible choice of mercy. And though some days were hard and trust was fragile, they both knew one thing. He had carried her once. Now they carried each other.